All right. We should be live right now, guys. Welcome to the NBA live stream. We are here to talk about Game 6, the show on site between the Bucks and the Suns. And you can see I'm joined by two others. We have Raz Daz, DFS, Mike, and we have DFS by Noah joining the stream. Thank you guys so much for coming on and welcome. Are you guys, Mike, are you excited for Game 6?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's probably going to be the last game of the series, so we're looking forward to it for sure. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. And Noah, what are your thoughts going into Game 6 here?
Well, like Mike said, I think this is going to be the last game of the season. I think the Bucks win, but it should be a fun game. Last game was awesome. Down to the wire. Booker, got the ball stolen from him last second, and then Giannis with that alley-oop dunk. It was an awesome game. Hopefully, we get similar tonight.
This series has been great. This has been one of the better finals since maybe Golden State Cleveland?
Oh yeah, that's probably, since I've been watching basketball, that's like the best series I've ever watched. I think it was just so good. The
Golden State Cleveland one?
Yeah.
But this has been super entertaining. We've had close games like basically every single time. Like you said, that game 5 was great. Seeing that Drew Holiday steal to Giannis alley-oop was like, I went crazy when I saw that live.
It was tough for me because I had Drew Holiday as the guy that I had over everybody else. And at one point in the fourth quarter, Giannis started closing in on him for the MVP, but he lost out. So I was rooting for Holiday, but I wasn't. I was like, oh man, but it was a great game 5.
Kind of crazy too that Giannis was not in the winning lineup.
Yeah, that's wild. He was gassed. That first quarter, he expended so much energy, I think, on defense and offense that he was kind of laboring throughout. But he just maintained. He wasn't special or anything, but he did enough to, help Milwaukee win anyway.
Yeah, I didn't watch the first half of that game, but Giannis was, I feel like, kind of non-existent a little bit in the second quarter. I saw Drew Holiday was taking over.
Oh yeah.
So not sure if that will happen again with Giannis kind of not being in the winning lineup. I think that is pretty rare again because he's been in the winning lineup in every single other slate. So not sure if that one will happen again, but it was kind of cool to see. I think the winning lineup it was 8 in the captain with Drew, Middleton, Chris Paul, and then 2 others, right?
Yeah.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Okay. It's hard to believe that 52 points, he wasn't in the winning lineup. I think Noah said that on his video the other day, but 52 points and he's not in the winning lineup. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's really just because he didn't have any blocks and steals.
Right.
I feel like, usually Giannis will get you a couple blocks, a couple steals, and you have the 0 for both. But all right, so let's start it off, guys. First, we can take a look at the Vegas odds before we get into the team-by-team breakdown. So, again, Suns and Bucks is a 221 over-under. The Bucks are 4.5-point favorites. Lineup news, we don't have anything yet, but I'm not expecting any changes here. Should be same starters for both teams. So let's start off with the away team, and that being the Phoenix Suns. And we'll start off with the top 2 guards here in Devin Booker, Chris Paul. So Booker's at 10-4. Chris Paul's at 9K. Over on DraftKings. Chris Paul had a solid game, 44.5 fancy points, 21, 11, and 2. And then Devin Booker had another really good scoring game, but kind of lacked in the peripheral stats. Again, had 42 straight games now over 40 real-life points, 2 straight games where he was not in the winning lineup. Kind of crazy. So, you have him at 10-4, Chris Paul at 9K. I'll ask Noah first. What are your thoughts on these Phoenix guards? Do you have a preference? Are you good to play both in the same lineup? Let me know.
Between the two, I would definitely prefer Booker, and you can play both. But I said this in my video. Like Chris Paul, if you look at his minutes compared to all these other stars, he's not playing 43, 44 minutes like Middleton, Drew, Booker, even Ayton, all those guys. I'm kind of off of Chris Paul. He's kind of a full fade for me, and I feel like it's going to come back to bite me, but I just don't know, man. He's not getting the minutes all the other stars are. I just don't – at 9K, I'd rather save salary, play Ayton. I'd rather go up to Drew or Middleton. I'd rather go up to Booker. I'm kind of off of Chris Paul. Booker, I think, is definitely in play, but I prefer Middleton over Booker, who obviously, we'll talk about in a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. So I think Chris Paul will be pretty popular again, being only 9K. So yeah, I don't hate the fade on him. Again, he has looked a little bit old so far in this series. I got to ask you, do you think Drew Holiday is going to be on Chris Paul more or Devin Booker more?
I think Drew's been on Chris most of this, or at least last game I think he was, but honestly, I can't remember honestly.
Yeah, so I think it was Tucker that got in foul trouble, and then Drew kind of switched over to Booker. But I mean, I feel like the Bucks have it. I feel like the Bucks' best chance to win is to have Drew on Booker, just because Chris Paul has not really looked like himself this series. But yeah, we'll see what they do on the defensive side. It's going to be Tucker and Drew on both the guards. Just a matter of who guards who. I think it should be Drew on Booker, but we'll see what that Suns end up doing. You are correct. Like, he's been on Chris Paul most of the series. I feel like that's why Chris Paul has kind of had a subpar series so far. Mike, what are your thoughts on the two Phoenix guards?
I mean, I think Chris Paul is his price is an interesting play, but I just found out today that Scott Foster is that referee again. So that creates an interesting dynamic. With Chris Paul, I mean, he's got to do something. I was really high on him going into tonight. Obviously, his minutes haven't been great, but I think Phoenix knows that he needs to play a little bit more. But at the same time, Cam Payne's been coming off the bench and filling in for him like unbelievable, and he's been playing great. So that worries me now, just kind of seeing the campaign, his plus minus when he's on the floor is a big deal. And if Chris Paul struggles, they might roll with campaign a little bit more just because it's the last game. And, I know he's a vet and everything, and he has a lot of respect on the team. But, I mean, bottom line is they got to win. Devin Booker, I think Drew Holiday, I agree with you. I think Drew Holiday is going to have to go to him because Booker's shown that he's a playmaker. He can create his own shot, probably the best on the team. I don't see anybody else creating a shot as well as Devin Booker. And Drew Holiday is the best defender on, Milwaukee, really. So I think that limits Booker's upside tonight. And I think last slate, it was either Giannis or Booker. You really couldn't play both or else you were left with nothing. So I think on DraftKings, I think you're going to be torn because if you play Booker, realistically, you're probably not going to be able to fit Giannis in there and have success. So it's going to be an interesting.
Okay. On FanDuel, it's a little bit of a different story because you have Chris Paul 13.5, Booker 12.5. So
$500.
So he's like the cheapest of the top six guys. I think that is a misprice on FanDuel. I think he should be pretty popular over there. So I much prefer Devin Booker over on FanDuel. Do you prefer Booker too on FanDuel than DraftKings?
Yeah, I think what you're going to see too is I think you're going to see Booker. He's not going to be able to get a shot off as well if Drew Holiday's on him. So that's going to lead him to pass the ball a little bit more. And I think the peripherals are going to be a little bit more tonight with Booker. So, I mean, I think he's a must play either pro or star. I think he's definitely going to be in that lineup that you need. I mean, you got Middleton and Drew that, really aren't much more than him, but a lot of people are probably going to lean their recency bias. But Booker is definitely going to be a popular play. It's just, where you fit him in.
Okay. Noah, have you checked out FanDuel at all?
I have not, no.
Okay. So Booker is actually cheaper than Chris Paul. He's at 12.5. Chris Paul's at 13.5, and Booker's like the cheapest of the 6 stars. So I know you like Booker already on DraftKings, so you're probably going to love him, if you were playing on FanDuel.
Yeah, I assume his ownership would be like through the roof. If he's that cheap.
All 5, yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll be right up there with Giannis for ownership on FanDuel. Like I think he'll be the second highest owned guy.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Are you guys good to move on from the guards?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to, I guess, the bigs and wings here for Phoenix. I guess real quick for you guys, you're just coming in. If you could leave a like button on the live stream, helps us out a ton. And so let's start off with DeAndre Ayton at 8.2K. Played 45 minutes last game. I mean, he basically played the entire game. Again, Dario Saric out for the season. Like, he's probably going to play close to the entire game again. I like him. I think he's still underpriced. Should get you close to double-double. He's a guy that can get you some blocks and steals as well. We saw 2 blocks, 1 steal last game. Again, it's really just a minutes thing. The only thing you have to possibly worry about with Ayton, I think, is, there's a chance he gets in foul trouble. We saw it 3 games ago. Again, he'll guard Giannis at times. He'll have Jay Crowder on him at times. So The Suns usually hack Giannis when he gets in the paint. So there's a chance, I guess, Ayton could get some foul trouble. But as long as he avoids that, I think he's one of the safest plays on the board. I think he's going to be popular. I think it's for good reason. So, I really like Ayton at the price. What do you guys think on, I guess, for DeAndre Ayton at 8.2K?
I would say that he is, like you said, probably the most underpriced player on the showdown slate. He should be 9,200, 9,500. Like, he's playing the entire game pretty much. He probably plays the entire game tonight. I would be surprised if he comes off the floor. I mean, your season's over if you lose this game. So I think we get 45 to 48 minutes from Ayton. He's pretty much a guaranteed double-double. We haven't really seen him like break a slate and go for like 60. I know he did. I think it was the series before against the Clippers. He had like a 60-point game. We don't really see those often, but the floor on Ayton is just so high when he's playing so many minutes. He's obviously a guy that he's always going to be around the basket to grab rebounds. He can get putbacks. He's a free double. It's a double-double guaranteed almost. Safest play on the board, has upside too. I think Ayton's a great option for sure. And
Completely agree with that. Sorry. Mike, what about you?
I really, really like him. He's the most consistent player, in my opinion, right now. He's out there a ton. He's getting the minutes. My only concern is foul trouble a little bit. But I think a lot of people are going to kind of overlook him tonight because everybody's going to the Drew Holidays, the Middletons, the Bookers, and Pauls. And I think he could be a guy that's lower owned out of all of them. And I think where his salary is at, it puts you in a really good position to fill out the rest of your roster and be successful. Even in limited minutes when he was in foul trouble, I think it was game 3. I think he only had 24, 25 minutes, but he had a monster first half. I mean, he was putting up the stats in a hurry. So the rebounds are going to be there. I mean, Lopez is on him a lot. So when Bobby Portis comes in, that's a little bit more of a challenge for Ayton as far as getting on the boards because Portis is a beast. But I expect him to have more than 10 rebounds tonight, and he's kind of getting on the scoreboard a little bit more too. So I think he's a great play.
Yeah, I think he's going to be one of the most popular plays on the slate, at least for DraftKings. I think he'll probably be number 2 behind Giannis. Just because, like Noah said, we all agree. I think he's underpriced. I think the only way he does fail is that rare chance where he gets in foul trouble. Now, just talking this over, if he does get in foul trouble, is it Cam Johnson probably comes in right for Ayton if there is some foul trouble?
I mean, I could see them using Crowder more at the 5. Crowder's kind of aggressive and is feisty, and I think could match up the best with anybody. But, I mean, Cam Johnson's definitely a thought.
Well, yeah, they could just slide Crowder down to center and then bring in Cam Johnson.
Yeah, but I think it'd be Cam that comes in if there's some foul trouble. Like, I don't know if they would run 3 guards with Payne, Booker, and Paul. And
I doubt they play Kaminsky.
Yeah, and like Torrey Craig probably doesn't play a ton unless something really weird happens. So, if you guys are, again, just thinking this out loud, if you're trying to, if you do fade DeAndre Ayton, go that riskier route, then maybe take a shot in a guy like Cam Johnson, who we will get to.
Yep.
But, all right. So let's talk about the wings for Phoenix, that being, again, Crowder, Bridges, Cam Johnson. So Crowder's at 7.4, Bridges at 6.6, Cam Johnson's at 4.4K. Crowder's been playing big minutes so far in the series, 39 and 40 last couple games. Again, when Ayton is off the court, he'll play at the small ball 5. They'll use him. They need his defense on Giannis. But Mikal Bridges kind of jumped up in minutes. He went from 26 to 33 that last game, did play a little bit better. And then Cam Johnson, who was hovering in the 30-minute range, dropped down to 22 minutes. However, he's only 4.4K. So, the price point it's a little bit tricky to get to Crowder and Bridges on the slate, but they're still viable because they should play some decent minutes. I do think Cam Johnson, once again, stands out as a pretty solid value play. So I got to ask, Noah first, what is your preferences on, the Phoenix wings?
So between Crowder or Bridges, I would definitely take Crowder. I've kind of been Crowder over Bridges this whole series. I don't think anything's going to change. I think Crowder's minutes are more secure. I think he also plays a few more minutes than Bridges. So I would definitely take Crowder there. I don't really like either one at their price tag on DraftKings, but would choose Crowder between the two. And then, Cam Johnson, I think, going to play 22 to 24 minutes most likely, could potentially get more. He played like 29 in game 3. I think he played 30 in game 4, or maybe game 2 and game 3. He played like 30 minutes in both those games. he probably gets at least low 20s. He's kind of like a three, just he shoots threes. He'll grab a few rebounds, but the minutes are going to be there. He's cheap, definitely in play, especially if you want to jam in those top guys, which you're probably going to have. You're going to have multiple of like all the top guys. You're going to have at least a couple of those. So yeah, Cam Johnson, I'm definitely interested in for sure.
Okay. Mike, what are your thoughts on the wings on both DraftKings and FanDuel?
Crowder came on in game 5 and he was lighting up first half. I didn't play him. I wasn't on him at all. And I thought I made a mistake, but he cooled down. But with the price on DraftKings being what it is, Crowder and Bridges, that Crowder's minutes are a lot more secure than Bridges because they've been playing a game with Bridges and Johnson, kind of whoever's hottest, they're going to leave on the court. But I think Crowder's definitely the better play, but on DraftKings at that price point, I don't think that he's a must play if you want to get the other guys that better point per minute guys per se. But yeah, I like Crowder a little bit better out of the two based on the price points. On DraftKings, I think Bridges, I think he's a much better play, based on his price point at 9,500. Bridges got more run than Cam Johnson. I was kind of on that last slate. I thought the Bridges would get a little bit more run based on the success that Phoenix was having. Even though individually Cam Johnson was doing good, I thought Bridges would get a little bit more run. I think it actually worked out better, in game 5.
Yeah, I was just taking a look at the price points on FanDuel here. They're a lot closer together, right? Crowder 10K, Bridges 9.5, and Cam Johnson 9K. So over there on FanDuel, I think I agree. Like I would rather get to the starters and Crowder and Bridges just because there's not as much. You're not saving as much dropping down to Cam Johnson on FanDuel as you are on DraftKings. So I do agree with you there. Real quick, let me just go over the super chat and then we can keep going. So Dominique with the $50 super chat, thank you. He said DraftKings, Yahoo, and FanDuel, Epic, ... Appreciate the support, man. Very, very generous of you, and hope you enjoy this stream. And let me know if you have any other questions regarding this slate. So thanks again. Okay, so we kind of covered the wings for Phoenix. Let's talk about the cheap guys, which are Cam Payne and Torrey Craig, the only two other guys I expect to see their rotation minutes unless something really weird happens in this game's a blowout. So Cam Payne's at 4K, 17 to 15 minutes last couple of games. I think he's going to hover around that 10 to 15 minute range. The reason I say 10 to 15 minutes, I think there's a chance Chris Paul plays a few extra minutes in kind of a must-win game, obviously. So maybe the minutes go down a little bit on Cam Payne. He is a decent point per minute guy. He's gone for double-digit fantasy points the last 5 games. A guy that obviously can score the ball, can get you some assists as well. He had 4 assists last game. So I think he's a fair value on the slate. Might be a little bit over-owned just after that last game of 21 fantasy points. So what do you guys think about Cam Payne at his price of 4K, and what do you think ownership is going to be for him?
On DraftKings, I think Cam Johnson will be more popular, just straight up. I'd say ownership on Payne will probably be 20 to 30. I mean, he's going to play like 12 to 15 minutes. He probably will average close to a fantasy point per minute. I prefer Cameron Johnson just because Johnson will play 5, 6, 7 more minutes than Payne will. I don't know, Johnson's not as productive. I prefer the minute security for Payne or for Johnson and the minutes upside for Johnson as well. I think there's a possibility that Johnson plays like 26, 28 minutes, where that seems fairly unlikely for Cameron Payne unless just something Booker or Paul gets in foul trouble or something. So Payne's in play, he's fine, but he's not like my favorite value, definitely.
Okay, Mike, what do you think about Cam Payne?
On DraftKings, with only like a $400 difference between Johnson and Payne, like I completely agree with Noah as far as the minutes go. But with the upside, my thing is Cam Payne can create a shot. He can do the assists, get the rebounds. I really like Cam Payne to see more than 15 minutes tonight. Like I think you're going to see more around between probably 18 and 22. And in 20 minutes, Cam Payne, I believe, does more than what Cam Johnson does. And on DraftKings, I can see playing either or. But I like Cameron Payne's upside a little bit more, minutes excluded from the conversation. FanDuel now, I mean, it's interesting because Cameron Payne's at 8,000. So Johnson's at 9. I think there's a way that you could, play both if you wanted to. But I do like Cameron Payne tonight. I really do.
Okay, so you said you think there's a chance he plays a little bit more, possibly 20 minutes.
I could see a 3-guard rotation just to kind of create a little bit more defensive nightmares, I guess, from Milwaukee's perspective. I do see them running a little bit more 3 small ball.
So who do you think would lose minutes in that situation? Would it be Bridges?
Yeah, I'd say Bridges for sure. Okay. I think they got to keep Crowder on just for defensive purposes, because I think you lose just a touch with Cameron Payne maybe.
All right, yeah, I think that's that's a pretty contrarian take, but it's possible. Again, Cam Payne does kind of bring that offensive boost off the bench. He's a guy that we saw when Chris Paul was out that he had a couple big games. So obviously this guy can bring a spark off the bench, and again we've seen his upside. So I
mean, he's got a chip on his shoulder too. The Bulls let him go; they didn't think he could even play in the NBA. So I mean, I think for him, I think every chance that he gets to see the court, I think he's going to give it his all. I really like the opportunity that he has tonight.
Yeah, and again, he's not afraid to shoot. Right, we've seen 10, 7 shot attempts last 3 games. So.
He could make it tough, too, because Chris Paul, there's no guarantee that he's there next year. And, Cameron Payne gets on the floor and does something. That might give Phoenix some confidence that they got their point guard for, the upcoming few years here.
Okay. All right, let's finish up with Torrey Craig. He's at 2.6K over on DraftKings. So he lost a little bit of minutes last game, only played 9 after 15 the previous 2. We kind of know the deal with Torrey Craig, more out there for his defense. He can play some minutes defending Giannis. He can knock down some threes. We've seen a couple big games from him so far in the playoffs, but lately he has definitely cooled off. The minutes haven't been great on him. There's a chance those minutes go down even more again in a must-win game for the Suns. You never know. So I think we probably get around 10 minutes from him at this price at 2.6. It's in play. You're never going to feel good about it, but the reason you play Torrey Craig, as I always say, is what does he allow you to get in your lineup? If you play him, you can probably get 4 stars in. And then you're really just hoping for like 5 to 10 fancy points from Torrey Craig. So what do you guys think of Craig on this showdown slate? Any interest at all?
I mean, like you said, I think Craig plays 8 to 10 minutes. I don't think it's a guarantee. Like, I would not be surprised if Phoenix just cuts him out of the rotation for this game, just because, you got to win this game pretty much. You don't really need Torrey Craig out there. Like, just play Bridges a little bit more, just play Johnson a little bit more. But yeah, probably plays 8 to 10 minutes. It's the same. Yeah, like what he allows you to get into your lineup. If all these studs go off like we expect, you're going to need 2, 3, 4 of these top guys. If Craig gets 8 to 10 points, he could definitely be in the optimal lineup. And if he plays 10 minutes, he could definitely do that. So Craig's viable. I don't think it's a guarantee that he even steps on the floor, but most likely he will.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think there is a chance he could get a DNP.
Bryn Forbes last game, out of nowhere, just got cut out of the rotation. I mean, that was kind of like expected. Like, they started playing Teague more. But yeah, Forbes didn't even touch the floor. I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of happens to Craig here and he doesn't step on the floor. Yeah.
So obviously there is a risk with Torrey Craig. Mike, on FanDuel, I know it's probably not even worth going there. He's 7K. I don't think that makes a ton of sense. But on DraftKings, would you have any interest in him at that price?
I don't think he's the same since he came back from his injury. They haven't really given him a lot of run or really trusted him too much, and he hasn't trusted himself. I actually would rather do your strategy and find a guy that's like bare minimum and take a 0 rather than spend $1,600 more on him.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think he'll get some ownership tonight, maybe 20, 25-ish%. Again, you're never going to love playing Torrey Craig. But before we move on to the Bucks, let's go. I want to go over a couple super chats here. So Picasso said, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, you 3 should do a head-to-head tonight. Yeah, I mean, we could all, pick one, our lineup, I guess, and see how it goes at the end of the night. But not a bad idea at all. And then what else do we have? Mark, thank you so much. $50 super chat. He said, thanks, guys, for putting this together. 3 DFS studs with great insight. Good luck. Let's get it. Very, very generous. Thank you, Mark. And good luck tonight. Hope you win a lot and hope you enjoy the game. So thank you guys for the super chats, as always. All right. Are you guys ready to move on to the Bucks?
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. So at the top, obviously, we have Giannis Antetokounmpo, 12.8K on DraftKings. So, that was the first last slate was the first slate he was not in the winning lineup. He only had 52 fantasy points, kind of a pedestrian DFS game. Still a good stat line, like 32 points, 9 boards, 6 assists. Just again, no blocks and no steals. The price has come up slowly, right? He started at the beginning of the series 11.2K and has come up now to 12.8K. He's been very, very popular, hovering in the 85 to 90% range as far as ownership goes. I think that might drop a little bit this slate just because, the winning lineup last slate didn't have him in it. And again, the price came up a little bit more. So I still really, really like Giannis. I think he is still the play if you're building an optimal lineup to put in the captain spot. But would you guys, if you were making one lineup tonight, would you feel comfortable fading Giannis, or are you just like play him and move on? What are your thoughts?
I would play him if it was just one lineup. I would have Giannis in there.
Mike, what about you?
He's the best player on the slate, best point per minute guy. I think what happened last game was an anomaly. It's not going to happen again. So he's definitely going to be in the win lineup tonight. There's no doubt about it.
Okay. What if you guys are building like 10 lineups? Would you have him in all 10, or would you be fine fading him in 1 or 2?
Closeout game, you got to have him. You got to have him. This is his chance to make a statement. He's going to get his first title. And if he wins tonight, you want to make sure that he wins, dominating. If he wins not dominating, then it's going to raise question marks, I think. So I think he goes out and with a hell of a game tonight.
Okay. Noah, what about you if you're building 10 lineups?
Close to all 10. I don't know if I'd go all in, but 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, at least like 80%. So
yeah. I think that's where I would be, like 80, 90%-ish. And if I was going to fade him, I think I would play Middleton and Drew Holiday, because if Giannis does have a subpar game, then most likely Middleton and Drew are having pretty big games. So on FanDuel, again, he's 16K, Mike. He's going to be the most popular player by far in that MVP spot. Are you just kind of plugging him in there and moving on and not thinking twice about it?
Yeah, he's my MVP. I said in Game 5, I said, I'd put him in every time. With how the salaries work and everything on FanDuel and that part of it, I don't think that you can not put him there. If he had a game like he did in Game 5, then I'm willing to live with it. And same thing tonight. Like, I'm putting him MVP. It's a lock for me.
Okay, let's go over one more super chat here. Picasso, again, thank you. He said, will Giannis Antetokounmpo ownership change since he wasn't in the winning lineup last game? That's a really good question. I don't think it's going to change much, but I think maybe he goes from like close to 90% to 80-ish%. Is that kind of fair to say? Is that where you guys are thinking?
I would agree, yeah.
Okay. Mike, I know on FanDuel he's going to be close to 100%, but on DraftKings, you think he drops a little bit?
I'm torn because I think a lot of people, if they think that he wasn't in the winning lineup last time and he didn't have a great game, I know recency bias says, hey, you look at the stat sheet and you see, but for me, that would fuel me to play him this time.
Okay. Cool. Guys, questions. We will get to that once we finish it up with the Bucks. So let's move on to Middleton, Drew Holiday here. Middleton 10-2, Drew Holiday's at 9-6. We've seen both these guys be up and down. The upside is obviously there with both these players. We saw 44 fantasy points from Middleton last game. We saw Drew Holiday go for 61 fantasy points. He was pretty low owned, saved my lineup last slate, going for 61 fantasy points at only 30%. He finally had a decent shooting game. Again, the thing I always mention with Drew Holiday is he's great at stuffing stat sheet of getting those peripheral stats. And when he does have a decent shooting game, you could see a really, really big game like we saw last game. I think Middleton's still a guy that can get some of those peripheral stats as well. Middleton a little bit more expensive than Drew Holiday. It's always really close for me with these two guys. And I think once again, it is very, very close. I think Drew Holiday might be a little bit more popular since we saw that big game last game, and he is a little bit cheaper. But I really don't have a strong take on who I prefer between Drew or Middleton. What are your guys' thoughts on Drew, Middleton? Do you have a preference here?
I would say with Drew having the better game, it just seems like when Drew has the better game, it's Middleton the next day or next game. And then when Middleton has the good game, it's Drew the next game. It seems like they take turns almost. I know that's stupid to say, but I think Drew's ownership is going to go up a little bit with him doing so well last game. I think both guys are going to play massive minutes. You're going to get a ton of usage. Drew's going to take 20 shots. Middleton will take 25 to 30. Drew got 13 assists last game, which feels a little bit high. I don't think he gets that many tonight. Probably less than 10 assists. He doesn't get that double bonus, but both are in play. I would take Middleton though. I think Middleton just the shot attempts these last few games, 25, 30 shot attempts. He can get you 6, 7 rebounds. He can get you 4 or 5 assists. He's going to play 44, 45 minutes. I like Middleton between him and Drew. And Middleton's definitely like one of my favorite plays, I think.
Okay. No, I think that's a very fair take. What are you buying into the narrative at all of Middleton at home? It feels like he usually has bigger games at home. Any thoughts on that or no?
Well, I tweeted out he got off to such a slow start. I don't know if you saw it. He literally had I think 4 fantasy points after the first quarter. He started off so slow. And I tweeted out that, it looks like we got the bad Middleton tonight. And then all these people in my DMs and stuff, well, yeah, he's playing on the road. You can't play him when he's on the road. I don't really buy into that, but if you want to look into it, fine. But I don't. Home road splits don't really in NBA. They mean nothing to me. I don't think.
Yeah, it's not something that I'm going to be like, oh, I'm going to avoid Chris Middleton because he's playing on the road. No, right. I think sure, you can make a point that maybe he does play a little bit better at home, but yeah, I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on that. Mike, what about you? Middleton versus Drew Holiday on FanDuel. Let's see. So Middleton is $14K, Holiday's 13.5. So pretty similar pricing here on FanDuel and on DraftKings. Middleton a little bit more expensive on both. Who do you prefer between these two?
Well, I'm scared now because Noah always says he gets these guys wrong. He's on Middleton tonight, so that changes it up a little bit for me, I think. But no, I really like Middleton tonight. I think he's the clear cut choice. I mean, he's putting up the shots. He's getting 20, 30 attempts a game. Holiday I think is going to be more focused on shutting down Booker tonight, and he scored really, really well the last game. Holiday did. So I think if he scores like that, obviously he has a higher ceiling. But Middleton does more overall. Middleton's he's the guy that I'm really, really high on tonight, in both in DraftKings and FanDuel. But the problem is on DraftKings is you have to figure out who are you going to play. Are you going to play Booker? Or are you going to play Middleton? Because they're both about the same price, I believe. So I don't know you can play both unless you don't have Giannis as captain.
So that's why my next question was going to be for both of you guys. Would you be okay playing them both together? We saw it. I think was it game 3 or game 4 where the Buck stack was optimal playing all 3 together. I think the way that works out is one, either you have one of the main 3 from Phoenix really take over and have a massive game, or 2, the Bucks just blow the Suns out of the water. Are you guys okay running all 3 together, or is that just too contrarian?
I'll let Noah go.
I mean, I don't think I would. I think when it did work out in game 3 or 4, I'm pretty sure Booker, Ayton, and Chris Paul all had like that was the game that Booker got in foul trouble, I think. I can't remember honestly. Or he just had a bad shooting night. I think game 3, he was terrible. He had 20 DK points. It was a blowout too. I think Chris Paul that game he had 33 DK points, and then Ayton, I think that might have been the game he got in foul trouble as well. Yeah, 5 fouls in 24 minutes. So they all the main Phoenix guys did terrible that game. So that's kind of I think that's why you saw the Buck stack kind of win that slate. I would say that doesn't happen again.
Okay. Yeah. No, it was the game where Booker got back or didn't play in the fourth quarter and Ayton got in foul trouble. So you had a couple of really strange things happen most likely that's not going to happen again. On FanDuel, Mike, would you even consider it or no?
You need a perfect storm. We kind of talked about it in game 3 and it happened, but I don't see it happening again. I think there's other positions and other players are too valuable rather than, to load all 3 of them up. I don't see Holiday I don't think out of all the stars tonight, I think he's going to have, him and Chris Paul, I think might have the most difficulty tonight, but I'm not really high on Drew tonight.
Okay. Cool. So let's talk about kind of the secondary guys now from Milwaukee. On DraftKings, we have Brook Lopez at 5.6K. He did play 29 minutes last game after 21 and 19 the previous 2. However, I'm not convinced he get those minutes again. We did see PJ Tucker get in severe foul trouble. I think that's partly why Brook Lopez played a little bit more. So my guess is he plays, low 20s minutes, maybe 22, 23. He's gone for 15, 16, 15 fantasy points the last 3 games. I mean, the price has come down a little bit. He was in the 7K range. Now he's at 5.6. I kind of just indifferent about it. I think he could have a decent game. He can go for 20, 25 fantasy points in that time, but it's not something I'm going out of my way to plug in Brook Lopez in my lineup just because the price dropped a little bit. So still kind of just like about it. I don't love it, but like if it does fit, I'm okay with it. And again, maybe there's a chance he plays a little bit more, but I think that was due to PJ Tucker foul trouble. So what do you guys think about Brook Lopez tonight? And do you think the reason why he played more was Tucker foul trouble last game?
Yeah, that was 100% the case because I think Tucker played like 24 minutes, if I'm correct. But I do want to say, like, his minutes have been trending down. PJ Tucker, he played 33 in game 1, 35 in game 2, and then 29, 29, 24. And I think, he's had 5 fouls in 3 straight games. So maybe that's why. Maybe it was just he's been in foul trouble 3 straight games, honestly. But I don't know. Like, I don't think it's a guarantee that PJ Tucker's in the closing lineup. I think they could go with Brook Lopez and then, play Pat Connaughton. I think Pat Connaughton's going to be in the closing lineup regardless. So it's just a matter of who's the 5th guy. Is it PJ Tucker or is it Brook Lopez? I don't think it's not going to be Bobby Portis. I doubt Bobby Portis would be out there in a 5-point game or something.
Yeah, I think if he does stay out of foul trouble, he'll be in the closing lineup. I think that's kind of why he's lost some minutes. Obviously last game, but previous 2 as well. He's been in a little bit of foul trouble. Really, they're just kind of okay with him using fouls because he doesn't do much on the offensive end. They kind of just like him out there on defense. Mike, what do you think about Brook Lopez? How many minutes do you think he plays?
I mean, it depends on how his first run goes. If his first run is successful, they're going to leave him out a little bit more. But, I mean, I'd probably say 20, 22 minutes. I don't see him, having a huge impact tonight.
Okay. On FanDuel, again, it's
he's not known at all on FanDuel. How his price is, there's no way that, you should consider him. He just doesn't do enough. Even the blocks and stuff, I mean, they've all been down. The last 2 games, he hasn't had really any defensive stats, and that's kind of how you're going to get there on FanDuel. And his hit price, $11,000. I mean, that's a lot of money to spend on a guy that's only playing, half the game.
He's too close in price to like the stars, right? You have Booker on FanDuel like at 12.5 and Brook Lopez is only 11K. It's just there's just no way you can get to Brook Lopez, in my opinion, on FanDuel.
No.
All right, let's talk about the other kind of wings here from Milwaukee. Real quick, guys, again, if you're just coming in, if you could, leave a like button on the live stream. It helps us out a ton. And subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure to check out Mike and Noah's content. Again, Mike Razdaz DFS on Twitter and Noah DFS by Noah on YouTube and on Twitter, I believe, as well. All right, so Pat Connaughton, 5.2K, Portis, 5K, PJ Tucker, 3.4K. These are the other guys in the Bucks that we should see some decent minutes from. So Connaughton has played over 30 minutes now the last 4 games, 34, 30, 32, and 33. I do think he's in the closing lineup. He's a guy that can knock down some shots, is a decent rebounder. The price has come up on him, though. If you do have the salary, I still think he's a safer play. Bobby Portis, the thing I want to mention with him is the minutes have trended up. At the beginning of the series, he was seeing some limited minutes, 14 and then 5. Previous 3 games, 18, 20, and 19 minutes. We know he's a good point per minute guy. And again, the price has come down a little bit on him, where the price has come up on Connaughton. And finally, PJ Tucker at 3-4. Again, has dealt with some foul trouble. We know he's more out there for his defense. Can knock down some corner threes, but really not a great point per minute guy. You kind of need him to be out there for 35-ish minutes. However, again, very, very cheap. And if you play him, probably allows you to get more stars into your lineup. So Connaughton, Portis, Tucker, let me know, what do you guys think of these 3 kind of secondary plays for the Bucks?
Between the 3, for me, I would definitely say Connaughton's my favorite, just because I think Connaughton plays probably the most minutes, but maybe between him and Tucker, they play similar minutes, but I think you do get 30, 32 from Connaughton. I think Portis plays 16 to 20, and I think Tucker plays probably high 20s, low 30s. Connaughton, I mean, outside of Portis, Connaughton and Tucker both aren't great point per minute players. Like, Connaughton's just going to shoot threes. He'll grab some rebounds. Tucker is just going to stand in the corner and do nothing. So I think Connaughton's my favorite, then Portis, and then Tucker, kind of how they're priced. I mean, I've been on PJ Tucker, just playing him because he's cheap and he's getting the minutes, and it just never works. Like, I'm so this dude.
You had on Prize Picks, last week or something? You just need 1 point from PJ Tucker, and you would have hit
The thing is, he had 12 fantasy points at the end of the first quarter, and his projection was 13.5, and he didn't get there. He needed 2 fantasy points from quarter 2 to 4, and he didn't get 2 fantasy points through 3 quarters. He had 2 rebounds and a turnover.
I was going to say, how is that even possible?
Right.
Like, that is insane. And obviously super tilting because what was that? What did you lose out on for Prize Picks? It was like
4-pick power play, $100 into $1,000.
Oh, I can't even imagine that, man. That had to be like just watching that game, just seeing PJ Tucker stand in the corner and do nothing.
I'm watching the fourth quarter, and I'm just like, just pass. And there was a chance, I think, with like 3 minutes left, he had a chance for an assist. He passed it to Middleton, but then Middleton missed it. So didn't get that one.
So brutal. That is just like torture, rooting for like one fancy point from PJ Tucker. Okay, Mike, thoughts on these secondary guys for the Bucks?
Yeah, Connaughton I really like. He's like the 6th man of the year right now for this playoff team anyway in Milwaukee. I mean, he's just so versatile, and I mean he's so important to the off the bench to kind of keep Milwaukee with that energy. So I really like him tonight on both sides. Really, I mean I know 5,200 is a little bit more on DraftKings, but I really don't see how you don't plug him in. As far as like PJ Tucker and Portis go, I think they kind of, hurt each other a little bit. Since Portis has came in, I think he came in game 3. Tucker's obviously had foul trouble, but it's kind of hurt a little bit of Tucker's, minutes. So I think they kind of fight against each other a little bit. That being said, I like Tucker's price point a little bit more tonight. I still think there's a chance that Portis doesn't get a ton of run. So Tucker's going to be out there on the closing lineup as long as he doesn't have foul trouble. So 3,400. I really don't think you can't not have him in your lineup tonight. And I know it's frustrating that he typically, he's fighting to get 10 fantasy points. But I think if you get 13 or 14 from him tonight, he's done his job.
All right.
That's the big if. I was saying that's the big if, is if he can get you 13, 14 fantasy points.
Yeah, that's – I mean, if he
can – playing him on Prize Picks tonight, right? So –
yeah. I mean, his projection's low, and that's the only reason why. I don't like taking over, but his projection is just so low. It's like you can get 12 fantasy points in 30 minutes. Hopefully, we'll see.
I think if he doesn't get in foul trouble, he should be able to get that, right? Like he should be able to average over 0.33 fantasy points per minute if he plays like 35 minutes.
Yeah, my hot take is he'll have 15 fantasy points tonight or more. I think he's going to be there. He's going to be important to their success tonight. I think he brings the energy. And I don't think you're going to see him in foul trouble. I think he's going to learn a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Tucker can have like one of those upside games every once in a while. I feel like once every like 10 to 15 games, he can go for like 25 to 30 fantasy points where he gets hot in the corner and knocks down like 3 or 4 threes, maybe gets some blocks and steals. But most of the time he's going to hover in that, if he's playing 30-ish minutes, hover in that 15-ish fantasy point range, which again, in DraftKings, I think makes him a pretty solid value play because if you look at the other guys priced around them, like really cheap, like Teague, Torrey Craig, like those guys, we don't expect to see a ton of minutes. So I do think Tucker's a pretty safe play on this slate. And again, cheap, allows you to get more of those stars in. On FanDuel, do you have a preference with those 3 on Mike, I should say?
Yeah, I mean, I love Connaughton tonight. So I think he's definitely a play that you have to have in the utility. I'm kind of rotating between 3 guys, Connaughton being one of them. Tucker at 7,500, if he has the performance that I think he does tonight, and I think he's going to have that type of performance because a lot of people are going to be, heavily guarding Holiday and Chris Middleton a little bit more than typical. And I really think that Tucker's going to get some wide open opportunities. And I think he's going to be, lower owned, and I think he's going to produce. So I like Tucker.
Cool. All right. I guess now we got to go over Jeff Teague really quick. So he's at 2K. I mean, last few games, 14, 11 at 8 minutes. There's a chance he gets a DNP. Like I would say him, Torrey Craig, it's possible you neither see the court and both teams go to a 7-man rotation. But if he does play around 10 minutes, there's a chance he could be in the winning lineup. He can go for like 8 to 10 fantasy points. I mean, he's had 7, 4, and 4 fantasy points the last 3 games. So obviously a risky play, not going to see a ton of minutes unless something really, really weird happens. So 2K, Jeff Teague, thoughts on that at all?
He's Torrey Craig, but a little bit cheaper. That's my thoughts, honestly.
Yep.
Could get a DMP, but probably plays 6 or 8 minutes, most likely.
Mike, Jeff Teague, I know no interest in him in FanDuel, but any at all on DraftKings?
I don't think he gets you enough minutes. I think the most you're going to be looking at is a quick burst in the first quarter to get Drew Holiday a little bit of a breather. And other than that, I think it's going to be 5-6 minutes on the court.
Cool. Yeah. And then like Forbes, I don't think plays. He has gotten a DNP now the last 2 games. So I don't think it's worth going to him. Is there a chance he's back in the rotation this game? Sure. Anything's possible, but I don't think it's worth the risk. And then Thanasis is out again tonight for health and safety protocols. Again, he's just a guy that usually comes in for the end of the quarter to play defense, but he will not be available tonight. So anyone else you guys want to mention for Milwaukee, or are you good to kind of go over some roster construction?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good.
Cool. I guess real quick, let's go over this super chat. Josh, he said, awesome to see all 3 of you on the vid. Hoping to see some big wins from everyone. Let's fucking go. Appreciate it, Josh. You are the GOAT. I know you've had some big wins. Josh, I feel like every single slate, there is, Josh is taken down. Again, he won $20K last slate. So congrats again on your hot streak. Let's see if we can keep it going, and appreciate this super chat. Okay, so let's go over some roster construction for DraftKings FanDuel. Then maybe we can talk a little bit about prize picks, and then we'll leave some time for questions at the end. So on DraftKings, are you guys leaning towards more of the stars and scrubs build, or are you kind of okay going to 3 stars, maybe one, kind of upgraded value, maybe you get like 3 guys kind of in the 4 to 5K range? What are your thoughts kind of for optimal build, and where are you leaning for roster construction for DraftKings?
For me, I think you're going to want from DeAndre Ayton up, those 6 guys, you're going to want at least 3 of those 6, I think. And, that leaves you, depending on who you play, that's going to leave you like 4K left per player. So it's kind of like stars and scrubs. Play 3 of those 6 guys, and then you're looking to like a Pat Connaughton, a Bobby Portis, Cam Johnson, the main guys we talked about already.
Mike, what about you?
I mean, all the guys that typically are going to be 3,000 or 4,000 have all been priced up, so it makes it tough. So I think it's going to be tough to get all 4 stars. It's going to make it really tough. So I think you're kind of going to have to go a little bit balanced if you have Giannis at the captain tonight. So it's going to be interesting. I think if you're going to put anybody at the captain other than Giannis tonight, and you still want to have like upside, I think Ayton is the play that I would consider, because it allows you a little bit more room for rostering.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I really like DeAndre Ayton. I think you can definitely go to him in the captain spot. I just think he's underpriced. Mm-hmm. If you guys are building an optimal lineup, would it be Giannis in the captain, or would it be someone else?
It would either be probably Giannis or Ayton, I think, for me.
I'm with you.
Okay, cool.
I think those would be the 2 highest owned players overall.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Giannis 1, Ayton 2 for ownership. So I like that.
They're the safest. They're both going to have the most minutes, in my opinion. I think Giannis is going to be out there quite a lot, quite a lot. And Ayton, he's going to be over 42, 43 minutes on the floor tonight. So what you're going to get from those 2, it makes it hard not to consider them.
Yep.
So other captains, do you guys like anyone else in the captain spot? Again, we went over Giannis, we went over Ayton. I think those 2 are going to be the 2 highest owned. Any other guys you would consider in the captain spot?
Probably Middleton would be my next favorite guy. I can't get him right. When I play Drew, Middleton goes off. When I play Middleton, Drew goes off. It's Middleton for me, I think, tonight. So Drew's probably going to go for 60 again. But, yeah, I'd go Middleton. Probably favorite captain next to those 2 guys.
Okay. Mike, what about you?
I mean, I'd have to agree with Noah. I'd say Middleton would be my other favorite. But if I'm not doing Giannis and Ayton, I think the one build that I might take a chance on would be like putting like a Tucker at the captain spot, because that's going to allow you more flexibility to get all 4 guys in there with him. I haven't really built that yet, but I think that would probably be an opportunity to get a little bit different.
All right, that was actually going to be my next question to you guys was, would you play anyone cheap in the captain? And Mike, you said Tucker. I don't hate that, and he's really cheap. You can definitely get 4 stars in if you do go that route. Noah, would you consider anyone cheaper than the top 6 guys?
I don't think so. Like, I think at the end of the night, the optimal lineup is going to have one of the 6 guys at captain. The cheap guys just don't have the upside to be the winning captain. Like, what does PJ Tucker need to score to be the optimal captain is my question. Probably 20 at least.
Yeah, I would think you probably need 20 to 25 for him. And then you would need like everyone else, no one else to have like a really, really big game. Right. So yeah, again, you can obviously go to someone super, super cheap in the captain. I think if I was going to go that route, it would be Bobby Portis. I like the fact that he's played almost 20 minutes here the last 3 games. Again, a good point per minute guy. The home crowd loves him. Obviously, he's an energy guy. And I think he could have a pretty solid game. So if I'm going to go with someone cheap in the captain, I think it would be Bobby Portis. I guess one more thing I want to bring up here, because I talked to you guys before the stream started, of possibly taking a 0 with one player to allow you to get 4 stars in. It worked out with the Nets and the Bucks a couple series ago, and that's just because the fancy points was like the main 3 guys for the Nets, like the main 3 guys for the Bucks, kind of did everything. Would you guys consider that at all? You could go basically from like 3 kind of 4 to 5K guys to like 1 star, kind of maybe 1 guy in that 4 or 5K range, and then take a 0. I think that would make your lineup different. I'm all about taking risks. So would you guys consider that at all, just to get really, really different in the larger field tournaments?
Well, so if you, for like to solo ship the big tournament, is there a chance that the winning lineup could have a 0 in it, is my question.
I think it could. You would need some weird stuff to happen, but I think it would be possible. Obviously if all the stars play really, really well and the value kind of disappoints a little bit, I think that's where that would end up working.
That's fair. I think if you're playing one of those 1K guys, you almost want to hope for the blowout at that point, so where they get their few minutes and score a couple DK points, and that's when you're going to see them be in the optimal lineup, is when you get 6 or 8 DK points from Etwan Moore, who nobody plays, or whoever, one of those 1K guys. Right,
Mike. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is the salaries of the guys that, are the ones that you would consider if you didn't go for like a 0 possible, like the Jeff Teagues and the Torrey Craigs and those guys. They don't really do enough to really, make a huge difference. And at that price, I think it's more rewarding to kind of like shoot for a 1K guy if it's going to allow you to get the guys that you think that is going to work as far as the GPP winning lineup goes.
Okay. Yeah. Obviously, you're thinking outside the box, but I always like mentioning that just to see what your guys' thoughts are, and I think that could make your lineup different in the large field tournaments. Maybe you do that in maybe one lineup to really take a risk. Are you guys good on DraftKings? Anything else you want to mention? Roster construction.
I will say that if you play Giannis at captain with Booker, Middleton, Ayton, that leaves you exactly 2K left for your last 2 spots to play 2 1K guys.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. So, you could get 4 stars with Giannis in the captain and just take 2 zeros.
That was the winning lineup pretty much, was that day when, Tyler Johnson and Alzey Johnson were in the winning lineup. They got 4 minutes of blowout run. They scored like 6 DK points, and it worked. Could it work? Maybe.
I was so tilted because I had that, but I had Bobby Portis and Tyler Johnson. So all I needed was Bobby Portis to see the court, and I could have, taken down. I still had a really, really good night that night. I think I had like $400 or so off 10 or 20 or whatever it was. But yeah, I was close. I was really, really close. And when I saw the garbage time run, no Bobby Portis, I was kicking myself. I'm like, man, just one time. All right. Real quick, let's go over the super chat. So Dominique said, $20 super chat. Thank you so much. He said, if you wanted to get 4 stars, what players under 2,800 would you consider to fill out? So I think there's only 2 guys that we think will play under 2,800, right? We have Craig at 26 and Jeff Teague at 2K. I would rather have Craig, I guess. I think he could play a couple extra minutes, obviously a decent defender. So for me, I guess it would be Torrey Craig. Do you guys have a take on him versus Jeff Teague?
I would say Craig as well. I think between the 2, the one that's more likely to get a DMP, I think is Jeff Teague. Why is Jeff Teague playing in the NBA Finals? Is what I want to know.
He's not been good. He's been terrible.
I think he's just out there for, when Drew Holiday needs a rest, go throw Jeff Teague out there for 4 minutes and, call it a day.
I honestly think they should. I think Bryn Forbes would be getting those minutes. He can at least not run around and knock down some threes.
Right. Yeah.
It's like I don't know what Jeff Teague's really bringing to the offense. Mike, Torrey Craig versus Jeff Teague.
I mean, out of those, I would definitely do Torrey Craig, but I think the problem that you're going to have is a lot of people are going to be thinking that way. A lot of people are going to want the 4 stars, and they're going to look for Teague or those guys. So I think a way to get different is, you could get a 0 this way, but I think if you're going to get a 0, putting Kaminsky there just in case Ayton has like foul trouble or something like that, I think that's going to give you a lot more leverage on the field for all the guys that are playing 4 people.
Cool. All right, so let's go over FanDuel really quick, and then I'll ask you guys about prize picks if you have any takes there. So FanDuel, Mike, roster construction. I'll let you run with this a little bit since you have a nice write up here breaking down the FanDuel slate.
Yeah, with the FanDuel, obviously I want the MVP to be Giannis, so that's going to kind of take all your positions and kind of narrow it down a little bit, having Giannis there, and then you got to figure out like what I've been telling everybody is as far as the roster construction I do is I look for the utility plays before I consider the stars and pros, because I want to pick the guys that I'm most confident in at utility, because that's most important, and that's going to get you more leverage on the field by having the right utility guys. So utility guys I'm high on tonight is Cameron Payne, number 1, and he's 8K. So I have him pretty high in my player pool. And the other guys that I really, really like is I like the Pat Connaughtons. So if I put those 2 guys in my utility spots
All right, let me go ahead and do that really quick. All right, Pat Connaughton and Campaign.
Right. So I got those 2 guys, and I got Giannis right there, the MVP. So
okay. So then a little under 14K remaining.
Right, and this is where FanDuel made a mistake, because now you have Devin Booker, who, in my opinion, is a lock. You have to have Devin Booker tonight. In some shape, way, or form, you have to have him. So you can rotate him between star and pro, because that's going to allow you to get the guys, like a Drew Holiday or Chris Middleton by doing it that way. So I think this might be a popular build, but it won't be, because Campaign I don't think is going to be something, somebody that a lot of people consider, and less of recency bias because of his last game. But this is kind of how I'm starting my setup.
Okay. I think I like that. Again, Payne, a little bit cheap on FanDuel. Pat Connaughton, obviously a pretty safe play.
The only other thing that I consider, I mean, you're going to leave some salary on the table, but having like a PJ Tucker at 7,500, tonight I think he's going to have a really special game for his standards. If you put him there, it's going to save you roughly $1,000 more. But whether you want to update your utility play to like a Miles Bridges or a Crowder, that's that's something that you have to decide. But I do like Bridges a little bit tonight too. But this is kind of how I would start, for everybody that's playing FanDuel tonight, and take a swing at it. And I like to rotate. I don't just do one lineup on these showdown slates here on FanDuel, because there's so much variance. And typically, if you're going to win one of these, the jackpot is a lot narrower than what it would be.
So you said a special game from PJ Tucker. So instead of 10 fancy points, we're getting 15. Right?
Absolutely, that's a special game. I mean, that's a big game for PJ Tucker. So, and that I know Noah will be a little bit tilted on that one. We got that, but I think he's going to have a really good game. I mean, I think you're going to see the Holidays, and Middletons, and Giannis. Everybody's going to be locking in on them. So, I mean, I think you're going to have an opportunity for PJ to get a few more looks than he normally would. And I mean, if he bricks the first couple of threes that he shoots, then it's game over, and I'm wrong on that one. But I don't think you're going to see him in foul trouble. He's going to play 30, 35 minutes tonight easily.
All right. You guys want to talk about prize picks really quick? Mike, I don't know if you've looked at the board on prize picks.
I haven't, yeah.
Okay. No, I'll ask you, do you have any prize picks recommendations or anything you feel good about?
I made a couple power plays earlier today. I took Jay Crowder's over. That's one I really feel good about. It was 25.5. It's 26.5 now. Fantasy points, but I mean, he's gone over this projection 4 straight games. He's playing 40 minutes. They're using him like as the backup center whenever Ayton's not on the floor. Crowder's not an incredibly productive player on a point per minute basis, but he can shoot threes. He's been really good. Like, it feels like every 3 Crowder takes, it feels like he's making it at this point. And he can rebound. He can get blocks and steals. So Jay Crowder's fantasy point over I like a lot. Cam Johnson's fantasy point over I'm pretty high on as well. And then Middleton, I like Middleton's over too. So Middleton, Johnson, and Jay Crowder, I like their over on fantasy points.
Yeah, I like your take a lot on Jay Crowder, and it's a minutes thing, right?
Yep.
He doesn't have to be super productive. It's the fact that he's played basically 40 minutes last couple of games, and as long as he just has an average game or doesn't get in foul trouble, should be able to hit that over. So I like the Jay Crowder over a lot.
Crowder gets up for playoff games too. I mean, that's why he's there. He's not there just for the regular season. I mean, he's a guy that they brought in for that competitive reason. You know, he's going to be on the floor a lot, so I like that.
Yeah, I think same thing I said about Ayton. The only real risk you have with Crowder is potential for foul trouble because those two should be on Giannis most of the games. So there obviously is that risk you got to consider. But yeah, I like Crowder here, and in Prize Picks, I like that take of going over. Anything else you guys want to bring up, or are you good to get to some questions here?
I'm good for questions.
Cool. All right, guys. Yeah, leave some questions in the chat. Are you guys cool staying on for another 10 or so minutes?
Yeah, we did pretty good on timing. I was thinking that we would be kind of close, but we did good. Good job.
Yeah, just in the hour mark. Again, appreciate you guys coming on. All right, so yeah, guys, leave some questions in the chat. We can get to them. Make sure you specify whether this is FanDuel or DraftKings. Let's see. So, Dirty Dan asks Ayton and Drew or Middleton and Crowder. So I'll ask both you guys, which way do you lean?
I would go Ayton and Drew there. I mean, I'm pretty high on Middleton, but I would definitely prefer Ayton over Crowder by a pretty big margin. And then Drew and Middleton, I mean, that's a damn coin flip every game. So, yeah, I would take the first.
Mike, what about you?
I think it's tough. I understand why I asked the question, but I mean, I really like Middleton to have a strong game tonight, and Crowder, you know, he should be going for 25, 30, but I really don't think that's going to be enough with Ayton having a really good game. If Drew gets 35, I mean, basically you're leveraging Crowder and Drew together. So I'd probably agree with Noah a little bit on this one.
Yeah, I think I agree with both you guys. It's just, you know, Middleton and Drew have both been up and down. You never know where you're going to get out of those two guys. Both have similar upside. Both have shown a floor. I just think the getting to Ayton over Crowder is a pretty big upgrade. So I would just lean that way too. Let's see. So how do you feel about Bobby Portis and Cam Payne? Yeah, we touched on both those guys. I kind of like Bobby Portis tonight because, the minutes have been there for him, averaging about 20 last 3 games. Mike is pretty high in Cam Payne on both sites. He thinks there's a chance he could play a little bit more. I think, if we're talking straight up, I would much rather have Portis over Cam Payne at DraftKings. Obviously, it's a little more expensive. Mike, I think you prefer Payne to Portis. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. On FanDuel, I do. DraftKings, I prefer him as well.
All right. Noah, what do you think? Bobby Portis versus Cam Payne?
I would take Portis, I think. I think both are going to play probably 15 to 16 minutes at least. Like Mike said, maybe Payne could get like 20 minutes. I don't think that happens, but we'll see. Portis is a really good permanent player, though, and that's the key, in my opinion. He can score 25 DK points in 16 minutes. So,
yep, I agree with that. All right. Cancun asked Cam Johnson and Middleton or Holiday and Connaughton. I think that is pretty close, but Noah, I'll ask you first. Which way do you lean?
Well, between Cam Johnson and Connaughton, I prefer Connaughton. So then it comes, Middleton and Drew again. It's a coin flip pretty much between those two. I think Middleton has the better game tonight, but because I prefer Connaughton over Cam Johnson, and I think Middleton and Drew are so close, I would just take Connaughton and Holiday there.
All right. Mike, what about you?
It comes down to minutes. It's a minutes thing. Connaughton's going to be on the floor for 34, 35 minutes tonight. And I think the peak that Cam Johnson has tonight, he may have 25, because I really do think they're going to have Bridges out there a little bit more tonight. So I agree with Noah again.
All right, cool. Ancor always asks this question. It's a tough one, obviously, in the showdown slate, but he said top fade. I'll ask you guys first, which player who is, I guess, your top fade on this one?
I would say Chris Paul for me.
Yeah, with Scott Foster as a ref, I mean, it definitely changes things up a little bit. I could see Chris Paul being the guy that disappoints a lot of people, and that obviously helps campaign. But I think Drew Holiday is the guy that probably would disappoint and be the top fade.
Okay. Yeah. Again, it's a really tough question. For me, I think it's going to be Devin Booker at 10-4. Again, he's shot pretty well. Again, 40 real life points and has not been in the winning lineup last couple slates. So obviously I'm not going to feel good about it, but I guess I'll go Devin Booker again. Really, really tough question for sure. Let's see. Josh asks, price not being a factor, Cam Johnson, Payne, or Portis. Another good one. For me, it's going to be Bobby Portis. What about you guys?
For me, it'd be between Johnson or Portis. Like, I want to say Johnson because he plays more minutes, but man, that's so close. Like, Portis could outscore Johnson in 15 minutes because Portis is just a way better per minute player. Man, I guess I'll go Johnson, but that's so close.
Cool. Mike, what about you?
With the minutes, I think you're going to see, similar minutes with Cam Johnson and Cam Payne tonight. So I really like Cam Payne. I said it before. I like him tonight.
All right. Ethan asked Holiday or Paul. Another good one. Point per dollar. I think I'll do a small lean to Chris Paul, but that is close. I know Noah is not as high in Chris Paul, so I think you would lean Holiday here.
Correct. Yep.
And then Mike, what about you?
I'm going Chris Paul. Chris Paul over Holiday tonight for me, just because they got to win the game, and I think it's a career-defining game for him. I mean, he hasn't done exceptionally well in the playoffs, in his history. So, I don't think he wants to lose this one after they were up 2-0.
All right. Trevor asked, this is a lineup question. So following Mike's lead here, or taking a risk with Tucker, the captain. He does get some other good players here. He's got, I got Tucker at captain. Yeah. So Ayton, Giannis, CP3, and Cam Johnson. Wait, is that only 5 players?
Yeah, somebody.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Trevor, let me know who your 6th player is there. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? All right. So Joshua asked, best captain tonight on DraftKings, Mr. Noah. So asking Noah specifically.
If I was playing one lineup, I'd probably go with either Middleton or Ayton. I think Ayton will be more popular in the captain, which makes me kind of want to take Middleton. I think we get a good Middleton game. I think he's going to be aggressive. He's going to take 25, 30 shots. He can get peripherals. I'm calling it 55 DK points from Chris Middleton tonight.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. He's cracked 60 a couple times. I mean, if he gets it going, he can have some pretty big upside. So, yeah, I think that's a fair take for sure. Let's see. Josh asks, is Giannis the only viable captain in the big tourneys for just one lineup on DraftKings? No, I think Giannis will be obviously very popular in the captain spot, but I think we've touched on a couple guys. I think Ayton is probably our number 2 if we're not going to go, if you're not going to go Giannis. We think he is underpriced. Is there anyone else you guys want to bring up there for captain if you're just building one lineup?
Middleton would be the guys that I'd look for.
Yeah. And if you're trying to, if you're playing one lineup in the $20 or $25 and you're hoping to win first place, I mean, probably not playing Giannis at captain would be the move there, just because of the ownership that you'll probably see with Giannis at captain.
Yep, I definitely agree with that one. Caleb asked, DK question, are we assuming Drew guards Booker? If so, doesn't that bode well for CP3? Nobody else to put on him. Let me know. Salute, guys. Yeah, a good question. I mean, we saw Drew on Booker last game. I think that partly due to some PJ Tucker foul trouble, but I think it's better for them to have Drew Holiday and Devin Booker. So we'll see what they do. I would say yes, but again, for most of the series, Drew has actually been in Chris Paul. Do you guys think they switched up? Do you think Drew guards Booker more, or do you think he's going to be on Chris Paul like he has been most of the series?
I think it's going to depend on, Booker comes out and just starts making every shot. Like they're gonna do some sort of defensive switch most likely. So if Tucker's guarding Booker and Booker's just getting bucket after bucket, then they're gonna switch Drew on him probably. So I mean, I'll be interested to see who starts off on Booker, I guess. I mean, for DFS, I don't know if it's something you can really factor in. I mean, in the end, but Drew probably will guard Booker. Yeah.
Okay, Mike, do you have any take on that?
I agree with Noah. I mean, I think he's going to start on Chris Paul, and if Booker lights it up, I mean, it's a no-brainer to put him on there because he'll do his part to stop him.
Because it's basically been, hasn't it been Drew or PJ Tucker is going to guard Booker? I think like they wouldn't put anyone else on him.
Yeah, like Middleton, I think could be on him for a little bit, but I think it's mostly going to be Drew or Tucker.
And then here's another thing too: if Drew's on Booker, I think Drew has more of an opportunity to get into foul trouble. Because he's going to be a little bit more aggressive and bodying up Booker a little bit, and that could open up the door for him being a good fade.
Cool. All right, let's wrap it up here, guys. Another minute or so for questions. Real quick, let's go over the super chat by Tori. Thank you, as always, for all of your support. Said Giannis and the captain is tough. This is like the only lineup I like with him. Let's see. So you have Giannis captain with Paul, Ayton, Crowder, Tucker, Craig. Might run it IDK. Yeah, I mean, you have 3 stars in there. Again, Crowder, don't love the price, but he should play big minutes. Tucker, obviously, should see some big minutes, and Craig is just kind of a filler option. So I agree. It is a little bit tougher to make a lineup with Giannis and the captain, if you're playing tournaments. But, yeah, I think that lineup looks solid. Do you guys have any take on that?
I mean, I would say you maybe just like play a 1K guy and try and upgrade Crowder to I don't know, Middleton or Drew. The Giannis and captain thing, like I think for Giannis to be the winning captain, he's going to have to put up like, I think 65 to 70. We're going to have to see one of those big like Giannis games where he goes for like 30, 15, and 12 or something, just big triple-double. Or so like if Booker or Middleton or Drew or any of these other guys, if they go for 45, 50 and Giannis goes for 60, I think the winning lineup will probably have one of those other guys at captain. So it's always tough to say don't play Giannis at captain, but it's just what it does to your lineup, with the salary you have left, you're having to play guys, or you're missing out on an extra stud, I would say, if you play Giannis at captain.
Yeah, and you mentioned that 1K. Like that's where I might be okay going there because is Crowder and Craig better than Holiday and a 1K guy? Like right. I think I would rather have the Holiday option, right?
Exactly. I mean, Holiday could outscore Crowder and Craig combined. I mean,
yeah, exactly. You don't even need anything from the 1K guy. So that's where I think it's interesting. That's why I brought up earlier, like maybe building a few lineups with, kind of taking a 0 to see what allows you to get into to make your lineup different. Mike, any thoughts on this lineup?
Yeah, I agree. I think you need like a Middleton or a Holiday in there. I think Crowder at 7,400 is just, I mean, it's a little too expensive for his production.
Okay. Someone asked about prize picks. We went over our prize picks plays. Me and Noah both like the over on Crowder fancy points just because kind of it's a minutes thing. And then I believe, Noah, you said Middleton and Connaughton over too. Is that right? Or Cam Johnson?
Cam Johnson, yep.
Yeah, Cam Johnson, Middleton, Noah likes as his other options. All right, guys. So kind of wrapping it up, I guess I'll ask you, we can get out with this question. What is your biggest hot take, I guess, for the showdown slate? I'll start with Mike first and then go to Noah.
I think Campaign. I think him getting more run than a lot of people expect. I think going like a 3-guard a lineup tonight, I think is going to be more effective than having like a Crowder, Bridges, and those guys on the floor. I really like Campaign. I think he's going to create a lot more offense and a lot more energy, and I think it's going to be a quicker pace, which is going to wear down some of the guys in Milwaukee a little bit quicker. So yeah, Campaign would be the guy that I look to and surprise a lot of people tonight. All right,
Noah, what about you?
Middleton, highest scoring player on the slate.
Ooh, that's definitely a hot take. Okay. Again, I would not be shocked if Middleton outscores Giannis. You probably need one of those subpar Giannis games where he only goes for like 50, 55. But again, if Middleton starts off strong, he can definitely put up 60 plus fantasy points. So don't mind that at all. I think I'll close it out with my hot take. And I really like Bobby Portis tonight. I think he goes for 25 plus fantasy points and really kind of is that spark plug off the bench. I don't know if he's going to be super popular tonight. So I do kind of like Bobby Portis at that price point. But yeah, guys, that's going to do it. I really, really appreciate all you guys coming to check out the stream. Mike, Noah, thank you so much for coming on. Really enjoyed, kind of the back and forth here. with three guys on the stream. Just thought process going with DraftKings, FanDuel, kind of picking your guys' brains. We'll definitely have to do this again soon, whether it be for maybe Game 7 if there is, or possibly down the line. So any last words here, guys?
Just appreciate you having me once again, and I think NFL season will definitely be linking up for sure.
Definitely. Mike, any last words?
Yeah, I'm sad to see the season wind up. It's been really, really great, to come on your show and, be able to communicate with you a little bit more and meet Noah and all this and have a good following together. So it's good to see your success, and, we're just kind of sitting here along for the ride with you. So, thank you for all you do for us, and, let's win big money tonight for everybody. So thanks for everybody for tuning in and, letting us take a little bit of the spotlight from DK tonight.
Appreciate you guys coming on again. Good luck, everyone. And make sure to check out Mike, Razdaz DFS on Twitter, and Noah, DFS by Noah on Twitter and YouTube, right?
Correct. Yep.
Cool. All right, guys. That's going to do it. Enjoy the game. Good luck, and we will see you later.